Big news of the day, and over the last 48 hours, nature has unleashed her fury across the Asia-Pacific region.
Early yesterday, the massive earthquake near Samoa generated a fatal tsunami, devastating entire communities and killing hundreds. Just as we were reeling from that news, last night the Indonesian city of Padang was flattened by a quake that's left thousands trapped under rubble. Today, a second major earthquake has compounded the grief, the death toll expected to spiral into the thousands. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, Vietnam and Cambodia, a series of typhoons have killed 360 people and left hundreds of thousands homeless. And there's late news today that a second typhoon is forming in the region. Earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons. What's going on, and are these events related?
Now, to explain more about this, we cross to seismologist Gary Gibson. So, Gary, tell us, is it silly to think that all of these events are related?
It's not silly to think they're related, but in fact the aftershock that happened this afternoon in Sumatra was definitely related. It's perfectly normal to have aftershocks after big earthquakes. But whether or not the Samoan earthquake and the Padang earthquake are related, they're both on the Australian plate boundary, but they're so far apart, about 8,000 kilometres. There's no real mechanism, and I don't think they're related. It's just coincidence.
Now, you say that they're on the Australian plate boundary. Most Australians live on the coastline around Australia. Should we be worried about things like tsunamis hitting us?
It's possible. We can have tsunamis in Australia. A big earthquake in the southern part of Indonesia can affect the west coast of Western Australia, or a very large earthquake in the Pacific can give a tsunami on the New South Wales or east coast of Tasmania.
Would we be prepared here in Australia to deal with something like that?
Well, we'll know about them because we've got enough time between the time of the earthquake occurrence and the waves arriving for the Australian Tsunami Warning System to let us know to take measures to keep away from the coast.
I've just got one other question out of curiosity. The Boxing Day quake that caused the major tsunami near Indonesia, but yesterday we had a quake that didn't cause a tsunami near Indonesia. Why does one cause a tsunami and the other doesn't?
Oh, there are a few reasons. The first is that the Boxing Day earthquake was enormous. It was a magnitude 9 with a rupture that was about 1,000 kilometres long, and one side of the fault moved about 10 to 20 metres or more relative to the other. This earthquake was 7.6, much smaller earthquake and only a few metres, and a couple of other reasons too. To generate a tsunami, you've got to deform the seafloor, and the one yesterday under Sumatra was along the coastline, not under out in the ocean, and it was deep. It was about 80 kilometres beneath the surface, so it didn't disrupt the seafloor, moving water, generating the tsunami.
Thank you for clearing that up for me, Gary Gibson, and hopefully we won't have too many more quakes to think about in the next few days. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate that.
Pleasure.